Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, global population. Sam Fisher here. Well, I thought we'd do another redo video, but this one's more for us in the UK, and it's really important. Want to know what I'm on about? This.
Exchange and protection of classified information on the 25th of May, which shows that the May cell placed intelligence sharing with the EU at the very core of its offer to build, I quote, a new, deep and special partnership with the EU, fundamental to cooperation across the future partnership, clauses 1 and 2. Affirming this, a Cabinet Office paper on security on the 28th of November last year finally conceded that it was indeed a structural and institutional relationship in intelligence that was to be created. It states, that paper, quote, the UK and the EU have agreed to conclude an agreement. Although agreements on classified information exist between the EU and non-associated third countries, such as Canada and the United States, the UK's intention, for the reasons that Jonathan explained, to remain in the EU's defence industrial structures and associated policies, which have still not yet been cancelled, would necessitate a CSDP-based agreement. So, the technical notes claim, clauses 11 and 12, for those of you who are nerdy, that Canada and the United States are equivalent precedents on which the UK can build, but potentially go further, to quote its language, is dangerously false. The May government acknowledged that this relationship would be more than ad hoc and governed by the EU's prescribed security of information agreement for this purpose. Political declaration even acknowledges that the UK and EU, quote, should exchange intelligence in support of CSDP missions and operations to which the UK will be contributing. Point there being that the government has committed to stay in those as a precondition to participate in the EU's defence industrial landscape and frameworks, which was such an obsession of the previous government and Prime Minister. The political declaration indicated a UK interest in the EU Satellite Centre and space projects, all of which are components of the EU's military construct, and CSDP and the SDIP agreements of late 2016 made that so. Yet the EU, amusingly, would exclude the UK, which is Europe's principal satellite builder and technology provider by a country mile, from access to Galileo's secure signal without letting us, while letting us pay for the project. The Johnson government has made decisive moves in this area, as in so many others. So I'm hopeful that now that Galileo is en panne, and soon to be down the pan, because the signal ain't working, we will get on with our own national GPS system. Given that, unlike Canada or the United States, the UK would be compelled by the exit deals in any version of the May Treaty, even with lipstick applied to it, to apply the EU's CSDP, since the theme of this morning, ladies and gentlemen, everything is attached to everything else, the EU global strategy will rule. And that document, the global strategy, calls for a hub-and-spoke intelligence arrangement between the EEAS, which is the Ersatz Foreign Service, and INTCEN, the Intelligence Centre of the EU, and national intelligence capabilities of CSDP states. And these, and I can't make this point strongly enough, are structural, not ad hoc relationships, and therefore they threaten the Five Eyes intelligence alliance. That's the bedrock of Western security. Please be under no illusion. Were we, upon leaving the EU on the 31st of October, incongruously, by failing to annul these agreements that have been made since June 2016, were we to allow the EU access either to primary collection, to Five Eyes analysis, or to our sources or methodologies in either of these, we would allow the fracture of our principal security alliance. Francois Fischer, the head of intelligence analysis at the EU Intelligence and Situation Center, is entirely clear in his ambition, as educated Frenchmen often are, presumably based on arrangements that had been made by the May cell. I quote him, "In intelligence and security, the UK won't leave. Big secret, but you won't leave. It's not yet in the public arena," he shares with us, but there are capacities, mysterious word, that allow the UK to stay in the EU's defence and intelligence network, which are a set of, quote, EEA commitments and administrative arrangements. We will have problems, he opines, practical problems and legal problems, but concludes happily, in France there is a saying that we are not a limitation service. We are a special service because we do special things and wait for it. Therefore, we don't bother about legal limitations.
Right, what you've just seen there is just an excerpt from a video I did, well, almost a year ago now, called "Why No Deal is the Only Option." It's not got many views, like most of the really important videos that I do. It never gets that many. So, what's the dealio? Well, basically, when the referendum went through and turned out that Leave had won, and then there was the chaos with Boris the first time, people tend to forget that he suddenly stepped down as the well, for the running for PM when Cameron quit. Seeing as he was the leader of the Leave side, he was ousted by Michael Gove of all people, who then proceeded to get not even 5% of the leadership vote from the Tory party members. Yeah, did himself a great favour there, which resulted in us getting May eventually. Well, when May got in, she tabled 3 different withdrawal agreements, supposedly different. They weren't different, they were exactly the same, each and every one of them, just worded slightly differently, and the points rearranged here and there, because she basically knew that none of the actual MPs were ever going to read it. But there was one clause in there that she hid very well, and that was to do with our military and our intelligence infrastructure, basically our spy satellites and our first spy satellites that we've been working on for a while, our special forces, that being the SAS, our MI5, MI6, GCHQ, all that lot. Post-Brexit, so basically after Brexit, after we'd left, our entire military and our entire intelligence infrastructure would be integrated and dissolved, or would be, may still be, into the EDF, which is the European Defence Force. But what do you mean, Sam Fisher? I hear you say. Surely that ain't so. Well, unfortunately, yeah, it is. She royally stiffed us, the old May. I mean, I've gone into exactly what was going on with her before. If you want to know what I'm talking about there, I'll leave a link in the description to my video entitled "The Power Behind the PM's Ear." Basically what motivated her. Anyway, you see, it's something the elite always use, some sort of coercion, in a way, a focal point for you to ponder upon, shall we say, as you make all these decisions with May, it's a fucking good one, and something that I haven't really seen anywhere else. But I found the information quite easily. Anyway, I digress. What we're talking about, right? This aspect of the withdrawal agreement hasn't been addressed in any way, shape or form. So far as I know, Boris has mentioned it once and it was on the table. The minute we lose our military, we lose our ability to defend ourselves. And a nation without an ability to defend itself is no longer a nation. The EU will have full control over our army, over our armed forces, over our intelligence services, and will use them as they see fit. And we will pay through the nose without any say or any control. If the EU decides to go to war with someone, say like America, because the EU army is, and make no mistake, is in direct opposition to NATO. You thought Russia was bad. Just wait till the EU's army kicks in. Now this is a big if, and when we leave with no deal, the EU will collapse. Deutsche Bank and the French economy can't cope. Deutsche Bank's been collapsing for well over a decade now. The British taxpayer has been paying to keep that bank afloat. As soon as that goes down, the whole of the German economy goes tits up. The French economy likewise. Because if you noticed, all of a sudden the austerity measures went up and we were having to pay more and more and more to the EU. As soon as Macron had the bright spark idea of forcing the whole country to get rid of petrol cars and go for French-made electric cars. So he gave the French motor industry enough money to buy about 50 times the amount of cobalt there is in the entire world. And the French motor industry went to the little African nations that own these cobalt mines, and these African nations stole it. Obviously, the warlords, idiots. So, it's awfully convenient how this pandemic suddenly appears to not only take care of Trump, which is one thing, and to slow down the Trump movement over in the US. All these people that are believing in him, you're going to be sorely disappointed, I can tell you that now. Like I said before, they've got something on Trump. Don't know what it is, but they'd rather have the Democrats in because it makes the job easier. And they also did this right when the EU is about to get control of our nukes. That's another thing. Right when Britain's about to leave, as soon as we leave, their money supply is cut. EU's money supply is cut. I've said to someone in the comment, give them 12 to 18 months max. I don't think I'd give them that, to be honest. I think it'd be a lot quicker and a lot more brutal. This pandemic is just holding it steady, and it's about now that you start hearing calls for extend the transition period. Boris, extend the transition period. Boris hasn't got any control over the transition period. The mechanism is well in place now. Where it's going to lead us is another factor. It's out of Boris's control, it's out of Dominic Cummings' control. It's outstage control now. Commies did a right number of them, but it's flimsy what he's put in place and prone to abuse. Actually, look at what he's trying to do. Look at it on paper. Reminds me of the Emperor Qing. I don't know if anyone's seen Hero with Jet Li in it. And he has a conversation with the Chinese emperor, first Chinese emperor, who's been sent to kill at the end of it. And by the end of it, he actually understands where he's coming from. I'm getting that vibe off Cummins. I just don't want that too late. Anyway, like, subscribe.